I'll be honest, I had no idea this thing existed. I quickly learned why, as it's a real piece of junk. This thing is the Valken RM-1. I think RM stands for rental marker, and I have no idea what the 1 stands for. Maybe the first model or first generation. It doesn't matter, it's not good. From the outside, it looks like a brick. It looks really unrendered, like something you'd see in Half-Life, or maybe the original Greg Hastings paintball. It's not good. You can already see that the front grip looks okay, but then you put your hand on it and realize it is the thinnest plastic you have ever touched. The rear grip is fine. It's just the grip off of a Blackhawk. For those that don't know, which I didn't, which is why I'm making this video, it's basically a 98 knockoff. I did take it apart though, and you can see the internals are the same spec as the 98. Probably to the point of interchangeable parts. This front bolt really looked like I could just switch it over. The RM-1, from what little information I could find about it, looked like it was supposed to be a designated rental marker meant to retain a marker fleet. It didn't catch on for a few reasons, and any hope of it actually catching on was immediately killed when the EMAC game got popularity. So I'll just start here. I already said it's a knockoff 98. You know, the 98, the ergonomics are already bad enough. These made it worse. The grip, I don't know if you can tell, is very, very tall. And there's kind of notches for your fingers, but then the top one's really, really big. I don't know. The engineers weren't doing well. The front grip is actually adjustable. You can adjust it as a rental player, which is kind of nice over the 98 being that just solid steel, not steel, but solid front grip that you can't adjust. As I was saying earlier, some of these parts look like they're ripped directly off. Look at the ASAs. They're the exact same cut and mill. As I was saying earlier, the idea of this gun was that it was supposed to be an all, just be-all, end-all of rental markers. And I had an interesting feature on it, was that the barrel bag was actually fully attached to the gun. You can see I put it up on the camera here. You can't take this off. It's wired in there, and I actually had 2 of them. The other one I made into a little pistol just because it looks like the RoboCop gun to me. And the concept was good. But what you could see with this one, and if you've ever worked at a field you know this, is that those strings for the barrel bags get worn out to the point of where they don't really hold the barrel bag anymore. So this one, if you point it down, the barrel bag just falls off, which for rentals is terrible. They're not responsible as is. Well, we'll talk reliability on this one. Reliability is the issue that these failed. Most people know that you could have a 98, take it out of the closet after not having touched it for 10 years, and maybe need to replace a detent, at most, and then you're good to go. This one, you can see it's used a little bit, was only used for 6 months, and it's broken beyond repair. The main valve assembly, which I don't believe is serviceable because I couldn't find any way to get it out, just leaks horribly, straight down the barrel, probably a defect in the cup seal. That unreliability is just not something people can afford when you're having a rental marker. It's not something people want in the modern day and age with guns. A good feature of this, though, is that I was able to get to it pretty quickly. There are no screws in it. These little silver things in the side, you just tap them out. They pop out real easy. Not easy enough to the point where you'd probably lose them playing. They hold well enough as is. There's a little ball and spring in there keeping it in. But it made it really easy to service, or if I was going to service it. What I do like on the top is the way you cock the marker. Now, I did make fun of it in the beginning, but without that side hammer like the 98 has, for starters, you won't hit your thumb. I've done it, a lot of other people have done it, where you'll be shooting the 98, you'll have your thumb stick up, it'll get whacked by the hammer and it'll hurt. This one has this top cocking system. If you ever used an A5, it's similar to that, where you pull it back, draws your hammer back, you can let it go, it'll fly back in the body, but the gun is cocked. So when you're shooting, nothing's actually moving on the outside, preventing injury and maybe keeping debris out of there, although I've never really had that issue with a 98. It is weird. Look at the shape. Look at the top of it. It's just a triangle. Somebody really saw like a crystal and was just like, yeah, that would make a great shape for a gun. It's ungainly to hold by the grip, and if you take the grip off, it's not any better. This thing was an industry failure. Valken made so many of these and sent them out to companies just for the companies to immediately reject them and not want their guns. I said companies, I meant fields. Which makes sense. You can actually see that both the ones I have here are marked R1 and R8. Again, I have no idea what the R stands for, but 1 and 8 are probably just catalog numbers. Our field likes to write them down on our guns so we keep track of what we rent out to who. I know it was kind of a short one, but it's not that interesting of a gun. There's not much to say about it. It's just a 98 knockoff. That was terrible. I guess Valken just saw the 98 and said, yeah, let's make that terrible. That's all. Oh, and I know in the last video the microphone was terrible. My original Blue Yeti microphone decided it was time to kick the bucket, and it just did not go well. Now I have this Yeti Snowball, or Blue Snowball, I don't know. I know the Angel video, the audio sounds really bad, which is kind of why I decided to do another one really quickly. I'm not going to be going back and revoicing that, simply because I don't script out my videos. I kind of just say what comes to mind on spot, which is why you hear some of that more natural, like occasional stuttering and whatnot. But from now on, I should have better audio for voiceovers and may expand the content because of that.